The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 193.
193.
What are we chatting about today?
This is connecting to your higher self.
Yeah.
I learned a lot doing this research, so I'm excited to share.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Before we do it, anything you want to do from last week?
Yes, so last week we did the spiritual side of money. I loved that episode. Loved talking about that kind of stuff. But I want to share a story. And I was a little hesitant to share it this week. I almost waited till next week, but I'm going to take the chance. So some of this you guys may have heard in previous episodes. So I had a time a few years ago where I was talking to my mother about earthquakes. And I was concerned. You know, we live in Southern California. It's a part of living here. It happens. And I was concerned about our current house that we were in at that time, making sure everything was earthquake proof. And my mom assured me, you don't need to do that. The next earthquake that you're going to feel will be in the next home you live in. Mm-hmm. That was all she told me as far as that went that night. There were a few other random pieces of information that she threw in along, like over the last couple of years. One of them was that we weren't going to feel it as strong as we did the Northridge quake, which we felt very, very strong. Yeah. And that, to me, from what I was feeling, the damage level seemed low. And there might have been a couple other things. I can't really remember. There were a couple of things that, well, let me talk about this first. So one of the things that I felt was that it was going to be in the middle of the night. But I was denying this. I was like, nope, not going to happen in the middle of the night. This is a part of like how our intuition clashes with ourselves, our own brain, you know? So anyways, we have prepared for an earthquake, really prepared for an earthquake, put latches on everything. There's quake wax on everything. I bought like $300 worth of earthquake supplies. Should there be this big earthquake coming? I had told you all of this. I even told my sister this, and I told you that if it was going to happen, I felt it was going to happen in January. Do you remember that? Yep. Okay. So it happened, but it was nothing compared to what I thought it was going to be. It was 2:00 in the morning, and I was asleep, and the house shook, and it was just a couple of quick jolts. And I actually thought I was dreaming. Nobody stirred. Nobody moved.
I didn't feel a thing.
None of the dogs, nothing. So I thought I was dreaming. And then I woke up, and the first thing Amanda says after good morning is, did you feel the earthquake? So the reason I'm sharing this story is because a few things. But I want to show how sometimes our abilities can make us overreact. Yeah. When we're told things, like me especially, when I told the next earthquake you're going to feel is in your next house, I jumped to worst case scenario. But it's not always worst case scenario. Most of the time it's not. Right. So I was kind of upset, and I said to you, I was upset that I was even told this period. Like, why tell me? You know, I've been through plenty of little earthquakes like that. I didn't need to know. But I realized she was trying to calm me down at the time, but she wasn't trying to upset me for what was to come in the future. She was just being honest. But I feel like, why didn't they give other details? Right. Maybe I was blocking them out. Maybe I didn't believe them. But I literally was expecting like a 7 earthquake, and it was a 4. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm thankful.
Because they're probably like, if we didn't tell you, they'd be like, why didn't you tell me?
It's, doesn't it always work that way?
We can't win.
No, but I have come to realize, and this is something that I've learned over the last 5 years with these abilities, is that sometimes there are things that you don't want to know. Yeah. Because they will stick in your head like that. You will worry about them. Yeah. You know, we knew about Marina's car accident when she was 17, or we know of a car accident. And since she turned 17, we were a nervous wreck until it happened. And even still, I'm like, is that it? is there more to come? You know, she's 18 in a month and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, then I can relax.
Yeah.
But they don't tell us these things to frighten us, really.
No. I mean, luckily, Marina, thank God, was fine.
Yes.
You know, so.
And the earthquake was nothing. And,
Right.
you know, I keep kicking myself in the butt going, you spent so much money on earthquake preparedness stuff. But you know what? You never know.
Yeah.
There could be, we're still in January. That's why I said, I hope this isn't premature. But, I mean, it already happened. So,
Right.
but we don't know. There could be another one while we're here.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a bigger one. And so we're prepared,
Right.
you know,
As best we can.
as
Yeah.
best we can. But yeah, so there's the earthquake story that has been developing for years that I have talked about in the past.
There
It
it
takes
is.
years to get to the end
Sometimes.
of these stories, but there's the
Yeah.
end result for you. So let's move on to every week we answer a couple questions. The first one is from Paul. He said, would it genuinely be possible for the world to awaken and live a life without boundaries and division? Isn't that the ultimate aim? How it happens, I don't know. Maybe aliens will do their thing. Wouldn't that be great?
Great, yeah. That's a good question. Well, this is kind of a double-edged sword in
Yes.
some way, I think, because Earth is supposed to be what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be a school. And part of that schooling is conflict, and part of it's resolution. We're not sent here for things to be peaches and cream and perfect. We come from perfection. We come here to learn, and in order to learn, there has to be imperfection. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think in the second part of your question, will anybody intervene from us destroying ourselves? I think when it comes to nuclear weapons, if they're coming like shot out of the atmosphere because they're going long distance, like long range,
Yeah.
and they're shot out of the atmosphere to go to another country and then come back into the atmosphere, however that happens, when the threat of nuclear destruction starts to seep off of this planet, I think is when other life is going to be concerned.
Right.
Because it causes a chain reaction. It causes effect like a ripple, even out into space and other worlds, and other civilizations. So I think, I do believe that they're not going to allow us to, and we've had strange incidents already where things have happened with nuclear weapons that aren't working properly or shutting down all by themselves. So I do think that some would intervene. If we wanted to take nuclear warfare out of it and let's say just fight like old school, tanks and bombs and stuff like that, they'll let us kill ourselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just don't want the stuff spread to the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
And you have that kind of stuff. It goes everywhere in the atmosphere. Right. It's going to keep going.
But I tend to believe that they're going to reveal themselves. At some point, there will be alien civilization and an awareness of that globally.
Yeah.
But it's not for bad. It's for good.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. And there's more and more sightings happening all the time. More and more people.
The one in Vegas is incredible.
That was a good one.
It happened last month or whatever.
Yeah, that was a good one. Mm-hmm. So I hope that answers your question, Paul. And actually, the next question kind of is similar there, so that's why I didn't get more in depth just now with Paul's question. But the next one is from Gabe, and he asked, "Why would the Lord giveth if He's just going to taketh away?" And so I asked him, I said, "Can you just maybe give me an example of what you're talking about?" And we had a good conversation, and he kind of got into depth. I didn't want to read it because it is very personal, but basically he had a job that he really loved. Life was good. He was able to, pay the bills, and his house is already paid for. There was so many good things going for him. And then he lost his job because of a dumb mistake.
Yeah.
And it really was a very simple mistake on his part.
Right.
So he's like, why? I was happy. I was finally doing what I wanted to do. Why was it taken away from me? Well, I can't speak for everybody's personal situations, but when we get too comfortable, we have to be kind of shaken up a little bit, because we're not supposed to just sit here and be comfortable. I'm not saying we're not supposed to be happy, but we're supposed to constantly be striving for more and trying new things and doing new things. Sometimes the universe gives us what we want temporarily until it's time for us to move on to something else. Mm-hmm. And with Gabe, that was what I was feeling here, was that even though this is what he wanted, losing that job was supposed to push him to do something else.
I agree. I think that it's hard for you to see, if you really are happy in a situation that you think is perfect for you, it's really hard to see that there could possibly be another possibility that would be even greater.
Yes.
And you, out of fear and stability, I think, reassurance, we don't want to rock the boat if we don't have to.
Right.
I can relate to that because my previous job I had done for 13 years, and for the most part, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would when I first started working there because it was retail, and I thought I wouldn't like it. I ended up really liking it.
Yeah.
For a good majority of the time I was there. And, but I had to be yanked out in a way that would make me look at a different alternative.
Yes, absolutely. I do a lot of love readings, and this happens with love too, that people will settle, and I'll tell them, there's something better out there for you. And they know that they're on the verge of breakup, but it's like, but what if? What if there isn't?
Yeah.
What if I'm alone forever? No, the universe you have to trust that it will bring you what is supposed to be for you. Mm-hmm. And it is very hard to have that faith. We're very much ourselves go through this. We're going through it right now. You have to have faith in the universe that they're going to bring you what they're supposed to bring you, but you can't fight it.
Right.
You have to go with it. You can't put up the roadblocks. Oh, I don't really want to do that. Or, you have to just go with it. And when you do, and you allow the universe to guide your life instead of you trying to guide it with free will, it just goes smoother.
Yeah.
So these things that they put into our lives to make us uncomfortable, or, what we may feel is a ruining of the perfect life, is actually maybe pushing you more towards the perfect life. Mm-hmm. And that's where I was kind of going back to Paul's, when I said that I was going to cover that a little bit more here, is one of the things that people say is that there can't be a God because they're suffering. What kind of God would want to watch us suffer? That's not how this works. Mm-mm. It's not about somebody else controlling this simulation.
That, again, is putting the blame on somebody else. Mm-hmm. I feel like, if we murder somebody or something, we can say, well, the devil made me do it.
Right.
Well, no. And then if things aren't going great, why is God doing this? We have to be accountable that this is a place we learn. So the giveth and the taketh away is just another way for me to process of up and down.
Yeah.
There's good times, there's bad times.
Right.
And nothing ever stays on an even keel.
Nope.
The more you try to bolt everything down to the ground and keep it stable and level and not moving, the harder it is when it does move.
Yes.
So going with that flow of understanding, there will be these times, good and bad. But that is part of why we're here, is to learn about what do we do?
Yep.
Do we give up? Or do we have that faith?
Exactly. That is a big part of it. And if we were just here to, be happy and everything's great and grand all the time, well, that's really like heaven. That's the other side. Nothing goes wrong there. Everybody's happy. That's not what we're here for. We're here to learn lessons.
And we'll go back to that.
Yeah.
You'll get that again.
Yes.
That's guaranteed.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that's guaranteed to every single one of you.
Yep.
Is guaranteed. You will see that again.
Yep.
But that's not what's happening. I've also, in terms of like it being simulated, or this being a simulation, I think of it in terms of is when I go to sleep there, I wake up here.
Yeah.
And when I go to sleep here, I wake up there. So I'm always in contact with the universe, with my higher self,
Right.
and with my spirit guides and the loved ones around me that are there, that are enlightened and now can share with me when I wake up, what am I going to do?
Yep.
How am I going to face the day?
Yep. That's right. So yeah. So I hope that helped, Gabe, and I hope that our talk helped a little bit.
Yeah, good luck, man.
I know it's hard when you're in the middle of things to see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but there is always a light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
Yep. Okay, so let's do a reading before we start the episode here. So this is from Kate. She says, "Hi, Samantha. This is Louie and his best girl, Lucy. We adopted them 8 months ago. We don't know much about their backstory. They are incredibly bonded, and we wonder if they are related. Are we meeting their needs? Thank you for all you do, long-time regular listener." And there's the puppies. Aren't they cute?
Yeah, very cute. They look exactly alike almost.
Yeah. One looks like they got... Yeah, I guess the one in the back looks way more dachshund than the one in the front, but it could be because the one in the front has the tongue out.
Oh.
That's Louie. So Louie and Lucy. Let me ask them about their past, about where they've been, what they've seen. So I see these two running together. I see one of them digging under a fence line and them getting out and running together. I don't feel like this is necessarily because they came from an abusive home that they were trying to get away from. A lot of people don't realize this. They think, oh, my dogs ran away. No, they want to know what's on the other side. They might be stimulated by something on the other side. And, whatever. This is what dogs do. Right. Especially these are... Dachshunds are aren't they like rodent dogs? Don't they go into holes? And I don't know, but I think they're along those lines where that's the work that they did, and so they have this instinct, and the instinct part of it is to dig. These two, I don't know if you've noticed this with them, but I definitely see the digger in Louie, especially. He seems to me to be the culprit of what happened here, and she just went along with it. I do feel like the owners were looking, but they didn't look hard enough. I don't feel like there was abuse here. I do feel like they spent a lot of time outside, but they were fed and taken care of. It feels to me like they were out there for a little while. They seem a little bit, especially Lucy, seems skittish, like she wouldn't have been really trustworthy with people. So... she might have ran from people for a while, but they stayed together, and that's what was important to them. And I'm so glad that you were able to keep them together, because they would have gone through a depression if they would have been separated, especially because of everything that they've been through together. Because they did not mean to get lost, is what I'm feeling. They weren't looking to, run out under that fence and go and never come back. Yeah. But it happens. It happens a lot. So luckily they were found and, taken care of, and now you have them. I do feel like all their needs are being met. I feel like you give them a way better home than what they came from. They did not have these warm, cozy beds at their old home. It was, more just sleep wherever. I hate that. Mm-hmm. Just because they can't tell you that it's uncomfortable doesn't mean that the ground isn't uncomfortable. Let's see what else.
Well, dogs are made for that.
No, they're not. No,
that's skin and bone, just like you.
Yeah, that's a part of somebody's lesson when they think like that. Let's see what else they want to tell me. They have very much grown to love you and your family and appreciate the home that you give them. And of the two, Louie is definitely the alpha. But not in the typical way of we have 3 dogs and, the oldest here is the alpha. Mm. With him, it's because this is his sister and he's protecting her. Yeah. So he's the alpha in charge of her to make sure that she's okay. It's very sweet relationship. Mm-hmm. So I hope that helps you there, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Very sweet. Thank you for taking these babies in. All right, and then let's give our info before we start.
Do it.
Okay, so you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I have something very exciting that I'm going to be releasing tomorrow. If you are a member of my reading group or one of my pages, you will see this. I'm going to start offering a monthly subscription where you can have like a reading and Reiki and tarot, drawing tarot cards for you. There's a whole list of things and different price levels. So I'm going to be releasing that tomorrow on my pages. So
Nice.
that's Monday the 30th. What's the date today? Today's the 29th. So the 30th.
Yeah.
Wow, it's almost February.
Yeah.
Yep. And then next Wednesday, which is February 1st, is my next radio show, and I'm going to have Mystic Molly on. I'm really excited about that.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for that.
Cool.
And then you, sir.
Yes, for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Hey.
That's it. All right. Episode 193, Connecting to Your Higher Self.
I learned a lot this week. I learned something that I hadn't learned any other way, and that was how to sometimes decipher who's talking to me. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily for other people, but for myself. Is it my higher self talking to me, or is it my mother or another spirit? I learned that very well this week, so I'm excited to share this. Mm-hmm. Maybe it'll help some other people the way it helped me. So, first of all, your higher self is you in conscious form. It's just not the physical form. It's the part of your soul that guides the physical you. It's the part of you that is free from ego and the issues that ego brings. And I meant to get the number for it. If I have a moment, I'll get it later for the episode on the ego, because that is definitely something when you're trying to connect to your higher self to let go of as much as you can, is your ego.
Yeah.
Your higher self is aware of many things. It knows your purpose in life, your spiritual potential, your karma, your strengths, your weaknesses. Spiritually gifted people work very closely with their higher self because it's the part they can identify with and relate to the most. Yeah. It's like having a twin, but on the other side. Mm-hmm. That's exactly like you, but has no ego. Deep down, we all resonate with the words higher self. We recognize that there is something mysterious within us. Mm-hmm. What few of us manage to come to terms with is that our higher self totally goes beyond our conditional fears, our limiting beliefs, our wounds, our ego fixations. It actually represents our most authentic state of being we've lost touch with in modern life. Mm-hmm. We have really honestly lost touch with this higher self.
Yes, we have.
I don't know how you teach that kind of thing, but it's something that, we teach a lot of meditation in school now and stuff, that if we teach the conscience, that's the word I'm looking for. You have the little angel and the little devil, right? And that's your higher self telling you right from wrong. That little voice inside your head, that's your higher self.
But like for an example, let's say having a conversation, or you're hearing what you're talking about, the angel and the devil. And sometimes the angel can be, like you said, your mom or your spirit guide.
Yes.
And then sometimes it can be you.
Yes.
The devil is more, when we're talking about the conscious that is what controls the physical part of you. I'm not talking about the brain. The brain is the part that I'm arguing with.
Yeah.
It's the naysayer, the negative, the worry, the fear.
Yep.
The ego.
Yeah.
That's what I'm arguing with. Or they're arguing with.
Yep.
But when you look at it in terms of going, wow, so we can be in more than one place at once.
Yeah.
Because where is this higher self essentially existing?
Right.
While we're incarnate.
Spirit realm.
Right. So we're in two places at once.
Yeah, at least.
And that's why that kind of theory of, dreaming there means you're awake here and dreaming here means you're awake there.
Right.
It's that higher self of this is simply just a simulation to learn.
Yeah.
It feels so real. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, if we were able to raise our vibrations, meaning like shed that ego and that fear and all of that, if we were to raise our vibrations so high, your body would no longer need to be there. You simply would be a ball of light.
Yeah.
So inside of you is a ball of light.
Your soul? Yeah.
Literally, a ball of energy, of light. And it's all based on your frequency, your vibration. Meaning how you
Yeah.
adjust and acclimate and live life
Yes.
is a frequency thing. And that connection with others and feeling others' energy. You're feeling their vibration, their frequency.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's incredible to me to think, so we're like supernatural.
Yes, very much so.
You know, and then you start hearing stories, whatever, like biblically, that, I saw Christ and it was like glowing. Mm-hmm. Because he's raised his vibration so high.
Right.
He has no ego or any of this.
Yep.
You're seeing the true essence of a soul, a spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I asked our listeners, do you feel you have connected to your higher self? And 47% said, I feel like I connect to it often.
Cool.
And then 20% said yes, 20% said maybe, but I'm not sure, and 13% said no. A couple of the comments, Nancy said, my higher self is sometimes very annoying when I'm supposed to pay attention to something that I don't want to. Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
You're like, shut up, higher self. I don't want to talk about this right now. Yep.
That's good.
Isn't it? And then Shauna said, I'm pretty sure my higher self wants to strangle me, but is being patient with me while I figure out what the hell I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see my higher self booping me with the slipper and saying, stop it, when I start losing my way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the higher self very much wants to keep you in line. It's you. It's you trying to guide you on this simulation. Mm-hmm. So the next thing actually here in my notes is, think of your higher self as a puppet master in a higher dimension, controlling your thoughts and your actions. That puppet is you. While you can't control the actions of others or the external unforeseen circumstances that affect you all the time, you can most definitely receive guidance from the puppet master or your higher self as to what next steps are you to take in this journey of life. Yep.
One inclination about that is when we were talking in the past about inclination as to who you're dealing with at the moment.
Yeah.
Is listening to when the thoughts come in.
Yeah.
Do you hear it presented as, hey, you should watch out and back off from that car in front of you a little bit?
Yeah.
Or is it, I should speed up and get around this guy?
Right.
There's a difference there.
There is.
Even if it was the same sentence, but just replacing it with you and I.
Yep.
That right there is a huge sign to me as to where this information is coming from. The I usually for me is my brain.
Yes.
The you is something higher than myself.
Mm-hmm. When I said that I've learned a lot since doing this research and connecting to my higher self, I have learned now what you're talking about. I feel the difference now between higher self and the other side. And one of the things that happens to me that I now know is my higher self and not my mom or another spirit trying to make me nervous is that when something is coming, I feel it. Or if something is wrong, if something is off, I feel it. That earthquake that we had, I actually felt it. I was nervous and very anxious the day before. But I also had this situation where my car battery is dead. And so I was trying to figure out, do I want to take it to the dealership? Do I want to, we finally decided have AAA come out. But nothing that I felt like anything that I was researching or doing, like where to get the battery, what to do, nothing felt right. Everything felt like, no. I was nervous about everything. And I realized that it's because I have to go to the dealership to get the battery. Right. So even though we finally said, okay, let's call AAA out, I knew that wasn't the right way to go because I was feeling anxious about it. Right. That was my higher self, I feel like, saying, don't waste your time. But I didn't listen to that because I really wasn't thinking that at the time. Plus, the thing is that I hate this, but it's like, I don't want to say I want to see what's going to happen, but like, I figure why not just have AAA come out? Like, what's the problem? I might as well just have them do it. Well, they weren't trying to say something bad was going to happen if you had AAA come out. It just wasted my own time and the guy's time. That's
Right.
all. So it's our higher self is kind of giving us these tips of maybe you don't need to do this. And for me, one of the ways is I feel anxious and I don't like that so
I don't
much.
think you shared this part of the story is because it's a lease.
Oh, yeah, because
And
sorry.
AAA would not replace the battery.
Yes.
And if you did something to the car, worked on it yourself, you don't technically own it. You're leasing it.
Yes.
So you're supposed to bring it to the dealership for that stuff.
Yeah, that was an important part of the story. Sorry, I left
That's
that
okay.
out. But yeah, so I couldn't get a battery from them even though
That's
they
why
came out.
nothing felt right about which way to go with it.
Right, because it has to go to the dealership. And I had thought too about canceling that appointment several times.
And I was like, don't cancel.
Don't cancel it. Yeah, and I kept forgetting that. Like I know that's another way that my higher self I've learned talks to me is if I'm like, okay, you have to remember to do this and then completely space on it. Like I don't have the best memory, but if I completely let it go, then I know I'm not supposed to do that. Like I wasn't supposed to cancel the appointment with VW, so when I thought, "Oh, I should cancel that," I forgot completely. So that's another way that I've learned. That's my higher self trying to help me out. Yeah. I'm not saying that the spirits aren't helping me. It's just that the higher self is more involved in this part of things, I now feel. So.
I agree.
Yep. So your intuition acts as divine direction from your higher self. Whenever you have a gut feeling or an intuitive hunch, like I'm talking about, you are receiving a message from a higher form of consciousness. When you get a tingle that rises up your spine, we've all had these things happen, or if the hair on your arm stands up or on the back of your neck, that is a physical response to intuition and something that you should pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Intuition, also known as the sixth sense, extends past the 3D senses of sight, hearing, touch, taste, all of that.
Right.
The intuitive guidance comes in the form of dreams, signs, synchronicities, hearing, seeing things, all of that. You know what I forgot to tell you yesterday? This is kind of cool, so I'll share it with our listeners. So we went out and we had your car and my car, and we both pulled up into the driveways at the same time. I put my sunshade up, went to get my stuff, and I thought you were standing right outside of my door, and I thought, how is he done? How is he over here already? We just pulled up. It wasn't you. There was a shadow there.
Oh.
So I looked over and then it went away. It was probably Calvin. He owns this house, so it's probably Calvin.
Are you guys moving yet? I really want to get this thing on the market.
Yeah, but it was really interesting how these things just pop up,
Yeah.
Strange things. So anyways, let's see. Your higher self is definitely worth getting to know and spending time with. It's like your best friend that you didn't even know was there. It will never abandon you or choose to hang out with somebody else.
Right.
And because there's no ego associated with it, your higher self will never act uppity or all-knowing and all-powerful.
Right.
That's just not how it goes. So like you were saying about the I, when you hear those things and there's any kind of ego attached at all, it's not your higher self and it's not the other side because they have no ego.
Right.
Well, my mom will say things to me every once in a while, but it's just so that I know who's talking to me and it's not ego based. It's just like who she is. So sometimes you might hear things that are a little bit like, whoa.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see. So how do we better connect to this higher self? What are different ways that we can do this? So the first step really in gaining access to the higher self is to know that the answers to your questions are already within you. If you don't believe that, it's going to be difficult to tap into this.
Yes.
Another important part of connecting to your higher self is that you must trust yourself.
Yep.
And trust that you will grow and strengthen the connection to your higher self. It takes time. Look at me. How long have I been doing this for? And I'm just going, oh, that's not my mom telling me an earthquake's coming. That's because I asked myself, those things were happening to me before my mom passed away. I knew an earthquake was coming. I had these visions. Who was telling me that?
Right.
My higher self was telling me that.
Yeah.
All along, and I didn't even know it. Pay attention to what your intuition voice sounds like, what we were talking about. Is it a soft whisper? Does it give you goosebumps? Anything that is not still, gives you calmness, inner stillness, compassion, again, is not your higher self.
Yeah.
By tracking the physical and emotional sensations that come up in your body after having these spiritual experiences, you will be able to realize what is your higher self and what isn't. which is a lot of what
Sometimes
happens.
those thoughts are come off as surprising, because
Yeah.
recently we got a new car, and so we've been driving that one a lot.
Yeah.
And Samantha's car, our other one, she wasn't driving as much, so this battery issue kind of
Yeah.
was coming up. But over the last few days, since we've been driving this other one a lot, I've been driving it
Yes.
because it's my driver and she has hers.
Yeah.
And I realized for the 3 years or whatever that I haven't had my own car, I've been a passenger most of the time.
Yes.
There's something about driving itself that is a form of meditation.
Yes.
So my point is a way of connecting to your higher self is quiet your mind and meditate. If you're not comfortable with sitting, and just in a quiet place, driving is another way.
Yes, it is.
You get a lot of thinking and thoughts that, and I don't mean meditation like I'm checking out and I'm not paying attention. It's I'm focused on one particular thing, and that is driving safely. Mm-hmm. So it then occupies this portion of my brain, or the brain, mm-hmm. to do something, and then these thoughts start coming.
Yep.
And sometimes they'll just be thoughts about my day, or maybe something funny happened.
Yep.
But then there'll be a thought that like, well, that's weird.
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right.
Or I wasn't even thinking about that stuff. Those kind of things.
Yeah.
Is the ones that I think you really ought to pay attention to.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think you realize too,
Yes.
since we've been driving my car around a lot, that you weren't having this sort of meditative, and part of that is, it doesn't have to be silent. You can do with music. Music often brings in messages from the other side, whether it's yourself or spirits that are just trying to share information with you,
Yep.
But I found that interesting.
Yes, I actually said that to you myself yesterday, that I was not feeling as calm as I normally do because I hadn't been having my meditative drives.
Yeah.
And so we had ordered this car like 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And we both work from home, so we're together pretty much all the time. So it worked out having one car. It wasn't a big deal.
No.
So we actually had originally thought about trading my car in when we bought this other car, but I still have like 5 months left on my lease. And every single time I thought about giving up my car, I started crying. Almost crying. It's not because I need to have my own car. It has nothing to do with that. I would have been perfectly fine sharing a car. But I realize now that it is a meditative place for me, that I need to take drives, even if I don't have anywhere to go. I need to just drive sometimes because it really is a meditative place.
Right.
Yeah. And that me almost crying every time I thought of giving up my car was my higher self going, that's probably not a good idea.
Right.
Because you really should have it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree.
So you have to listen to those things. And I'm glad that I did, because I think I'd be miserable right now. Because it got a big car. Yours it's a Bronco. It's a big.
Yeah, you're a little intimidated
To drive it. So I don't want to drive it. So I would just not. I wouldn't go on joyrides. That's for sure. So yeah. So all of these things, our higher self really wants to help us with these kinds of decisions. So even if we don't understand, because at first I thought I was just being a baby. And then I realized, no, this is somebody, my mom, my higher self, something telling me it's not a good idea. Just keep the car.
Right.
Not a big deal. Just keep it. And I listened, and we have to do that more.
Yeah.
It definitely is there to help us, even if we don't get it. It's just a way that it goes. So let's see, what else can we do to connect to our higher selves? Well, here's an experiment. Okay, commit to allowing everything. Let's just say one day, okay? Commit to allowing everything to happen as it happens, including your thoughts, your emotions, external circumstances, for one whole day, without trying to control, fix, or change the situation. How do you feel afterwards? Think about that. Write it down. Journal it. Our human side steps in so much and doesn't let our higher self talk.
Right.
That we have to sometimes do exercises like this to realize exactly how much we're interfering with our own.
We cause ourselves more work and more pain.
And more pain. Yes, absolutely. Things that don't need to happen.
Right.
We absolutely do. So the reality is that the more we're in chronic resistance to life, the more we're stuck within our dualistic minds and ego. But non-resistance doesn't mean being a pushover or a doormat. Instead, we can see the non-resistance as a philosophy towards life that honors reality just as it should.
Right.
So there's a few different ways that you can communicate with your higher self too that aren't just intuitive thoughts, feelings. You might not get those. Maybe you're sitting there going, I never feel these types of things at all. There's other things that you can do to try and communicate with your higher self. And this is another area where I learned a lot this week. Tarot cards. Yeah. I had no clue where the answers were coming from. Tarot cards are ridiculously accurate. It still freaks me out how accurate they are because how do they do it? Right. When I do tarot readings, I don't lay the cards out and pick like that. I shuffle. I used to, but for a long time I have not.
Like, so you would just face down and pick randomly intuitively whatever you felt drawn to.
But I always felt like I was second guessing myself.
Yeah, that's a tough part of that way.
Yeah, when it's for somebody else, that's okay. But when it's for myself, it wasn't working. Right. And so learning to shuffle and waiting for the cards to come flying out of the deck has changed that. And it forces me to see the messages that they're trying to give me.
Just so people understand what you're saying. So when she's shuffling, she's not shuffling like a deck of cards and dealing out 5 or 7 cards like a game of poker.
No.
She just keeps shuffling until one flies out. Yep. Meaning like it accidentally just flops out. That's how the readings she does.
Yep.
It's like letting the universe show you instead of you battling with your mind. Should I pick from this end of the deck?
Right.
Or this end of the deck? Or the middle?
That's right. That's exactly right. And sometimes cards come up that you don't want to see. Mm-hmm. And so you want to go, like the Tower, because the Tower can mean a lot of things, not necessarily bad. But I used to freak out and put the Tower back in the deck. That's your ego. When you get scared of the tarot card that shows up, that's your ego, where your higher self is saying, okay, let's look at this logically. Okay. So you look at the Tower card, right? Which I wish I had in front of me, but I don't. And you see, there's a tower and there's people jumping out and there's lightning bolts.
Fire in the windows.
Yes. What you're supposed to do is draw whatever draws your attention in is the thing you focus on. If you're drawn to the person jumping out of the window, well, then what's going on? Do you feel like there's a part of your life that's out of control? Whatever it is, this is a way that your higher self will connect with you. Tarot cards, they have a particular meaning to each card, but what a psychic does with them is we also intuitively read them by what we feel and also by looking at the card. And your higher self will direct you to what you're supposed to look at in that tarot card. Yeah. It will. You just have to trust and listen to it.
They are super accurate.
They're ridiculous.
Incredible.
It really is, I blows my mind still. That's one of the things when I get to the other side, I'm going to be like, please show me how you do this.
Yeah.
Because when they come flying out of the deck, it's like, whoa, magic. Right. Weird.
Yeah.
A couple other things that you can do is automatic writing. And automatic writing is basically just clearing your mind of everything. It's good to meditate before you do any of these things. But with the automatic writing, you clear your mind and then you sit down and you just start writing. Not from your own self, from an egoless place. Mm. You might start writing something that comes from yourself and isn't coming from that higher self. But as you continue to write, it should start to flow through you. Mm-hmm. Also, oracle cards. Instead of just tarot cards, oracle cards are a good thing because those are more like... a lot of them are affirmations or they're just more specific. Like there's angel cards and those are like, what do your angels want you to know? Mm-hmm. And it just has certain things like, relax or listen to music or whatever, Right. So these are a good form of connecting with your higher self as well. But I know you guys hear this from me a lot. That is that the meditation is really super important.
Yeah.
When it comes to any of this, the meditation is important because you're not going to get clear messages
Right.
when your mind is all fixated on other things.
Right.
And that's another thing that I've really learned this week is that I can't be trusted to give myself messages if I'm not meditated. Sorry, I'm trying to send Unagi to the dog to stop scratching at the wall.
Yeah.
But it's hard to talk when you're sending the
Yeah.
Unagi. Stop it, Seb. He was playing with his toy for like a half hour. It was so cute.
He's been antsy.
He has. Anyway, so the meditation really allows you to connect to
And again,
all
if you
this.
can't, if you're just not comfortable sitting in silence or with some, spacey music going on, doodle, color in
Yeah.
a coloring book. Do something that focuses your mind on a particular task and just do that. But pay attention to the messages as you do it, your thoughts.
Yes.
Listen to those thoughts because you'll be amazed at what comes in. It doesn't have to be driving. That's just another example. It can be something crafty. You could be gardening.
Yes.
It's a task. You need to focus, get the brain busy, focusing on something else so you can hear those things.
Yes. This morning I had a fabulous meditation in the shower that I haven't had a meditation like this in a long time. And what I did is I was listening to my Pink Floyd mix, and at the end of Comfortably Numb, there's a guitar solo and drum solo, and it's just magical.
Yeah.
And I just tune into the guitar solo and like drown out everything. And once you're focused on something like that, once you're like, okay, just listen to the guitar, your brain starts to relax in all the other areas. And I'll tell you that I literally feel my third eye go from being congested and me not being able to see well out of it to it being open.
Nice.
This is something that's new to me, this feeling, probably in the last year. It's not something that happened at the beginning, but I understand now. Like, I think it was always there. I just didn't notice it so much. But once you start to feel like, whoa, pay attention to your third eye. Like right now, close your eyes and draw your attention into your third eye. Does it kind of hurt you to do that? Like to focus with your third eye? Like if I tell you to do that, can you focus with your third eye, babe? Do you understand what I'm saying when I say that?
I think I do. Yes.
Like bring awareness to that area of your
Yes.
forehead?
Yeah, I can feel, for me, I can feel like a pressure.
Okay, that's perfect. So when you've meditated, that pressure goes away. Whether you just bring light into that area or you're focusing on it while you're listening to that music, that helps me a lot to relieve that pressure. You've noticed even before this kind of whole thing happened and coming out as psychic that I would a lot of times put pressure on my third eye because I could focus better on things when I was doing that. And it was an intuitive kind of thought that I was feeling. It's very strange sensation, but if you pay attention to it, it's there.
Yeah.
Yep. So your higher self can communicate better with you if you have that third eye clear, and that's also a chakra area. So balancing your chakras is another good way. So ultimately, there's no difference between you and your higher self. You are one. You're one and the same.
Right.
You're always connected. You're always recognizing that it's there, even if you don't recognize that it's there. It is. It's like your best friend.
You've been there since the beginning. You've been there since you were in this life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going back to me, and the basics of just my belief is that, prior to the Big Bang, everything, including the Creator and the Spirit, was all in a compacted space for whatever reason, and it decided to expand. And with expansion, it meant planets, stars, universe, but it also meant souls.
Yeah.
And we are a fragment of it. We are higher because of it.
Yeah.
So when I think of going then back to where I came from, there is no hell.
No.
Because why would the Creator send itself to some dark, dreary place or hot and to be punished?
Yeah.
That it doesn't make 1 ounce of sense.
No, it does not.
So when we get to the other side, I believe that we have, some people believe you're judged,
Right.
condemned, or whatever it is. I believe that you have a life review.
Yeah.
and you look at what you did in this life. The only person that is judging you in this life review, if you want to call it judgment, is your higher self.
Yep.
It is your pure desire to want to achieve complete harmony, peace, and love and understanding. That is the only thing. It's the egoless part of you.
Yes.
That is telling you, what do you think you need to work on? Based on the life you just watched, what is the main thing that you think you need to work on? That's you.
Yep.
That is God, because you are a fragment of it,
Yep.
of its perfection. And you're always striving, not for perfection here, for perfection there.
Yep.
You have to come here to earn your merits.
Yep.
That's what it is. So that's where the judgment and the what comes after, if I do have to go to another life, you will decide what you need to work on.
Yep.
And then you put the team together with your soul family, who also have higher consciousness and higher selves themselves, and you determine what's the next play we're going to do.
Yep. Exactly.
Based on what every person needs to learn in the next life, it's put together.
Yep.
And you come in and it feels realer than real, man.
Yep. Sure does.
We bleed, we hurt,
Yep.
but it's really just a game.
It's true. It absolutely is. One of the ways that I've learned how to play this game better and connect to my higher self better is any time that I'm faced with something that I don't feel like I can respond to the correct way immediately, like I have to think about it, I think, what is the right way to deal with this? And I always say, like, what would Jesus do? But I say, what would Linda do?
Right.
What would my higher self do?
Yeah.
Stop and think about what should you do? What is the right way? There's only one right way, really. The rest of the ways, if you're, you have to be honest with yourself about things. So listen to what that higher self is saying to you. No, don't do that, or yes, do that. You have
Right.
to be honest. And that is a really hard part of the consciousness, I think, is that we don't always want to be honest with ourselves. We want to say, well, I know that I should do this, but nah, it's okay. I'll do this instead. No, that's where we have to listen to our higher selves and always go with the right thing to do. And that's what they want us to do. That's what our higher selves wants us to do. When we get to the other side and we review our life, that's what we would love to see that we did ourselves, is to make the right decisions and the right choices. And if you listen and you're honest with yourself, your higher self will always tell you the right way to go about something.
Yep.
Always. So I had mentioned that we had done a couple episodes on the ego. That is episode 71 is, I think that one's called The Ego. And 188 is Shedding the Ego. Yep. So have a listen to those two. They will help you with this connecting to your higher self as well.
Yeah.
So there you have it, friends.
Very good.
Yay. I learned so much this week. It's great.
Yeah, it's been a crazy week.
It has.
Like a lot of signs for us. Just
oh man,
we got to share this one.
Okay, do
just
it.
gotta
Do
share
it. Yeah,
this.
because it's good.
And we're still not certain
What it means, yeah.
Yeah, we have some feelings that things are going to change for us come around April, but we're not, for sure. And that's our own doubting.
Yes.
But we're definitely getting the signs and the messages that things are coming.
Yes.
We went to lunch the other day and there was a television on and I took a picture of it, put it on Facebook, but there was television on and it was like NFL draft talk.
Yeah.
And right on the TV, it said Daniel Jones will be a free agent coming in March. Mm-hmm. So there had already been a ton of signs, and I think we've already shared this about, we were driving around, was it last week maybe we talked about this?
On the radio show.
On the radio show, that's right. Mm-hmm. So we were just seeing names of family members, and we had to do a bird groom, which happened to be on Kitty Ridge. That's Samantha's grandmother's name. The lady that owned the bird is named Kitty. It was just very strange.
Yes.
Or was it the bird's name?
The bird's name's Kitty.
The
But,
bird,
yeah,
the lady
doesn't matter.
named the bird Kitty.
Yeah.
So it was just strange and just seeing a lot of different signs. So we go to this restaurant for lunch and there's a television on and it's NFL draft talk and it says Daniel Jones will be a free agent in March. And I'm like, how weird. Well, kind of, it was showing me that my life is going to change.
Yes.
Our daughter turns 18 in March.
Yes.
Now, I'll always be her dad. I'll always be around. But I got the humor in the statement.
I did too.
Then yesterday we were out and we had breakfast somewhere and we were sitting outside on the front patio, which faced the parking lot. And this older lady came trying to park into this spot and she's grinding her bumper on the curb. It was
Great.
pretty ugly. Right in front of us.
Yeah.
And the first thing I noticed was her license plate. I tend to do that. We both do. We look at
Yes.
numbers and synchronicities all the time. And her license plate was 6471 BY. And, four is April.
Yeah.
And BY, by April.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay. Well, the lady couldn't park there. She was having a hell of a time.
Yeah.
So she pulls out and she finds another spot in the parking lot to park it. About, 5 minutes later, another car. Oh, and that lady had a handicap.
Yes, it was
plaque.
a handicap plaque. And that was not a handicap spot that she pulled into in front of us.
It was not. Here comes another car about 5 minutes later. Another handicap license plate.
Yep.
Pulling in much smoother this time to the same spot, which is not handicapped. And this license plate was 6418 by
Yep.
BY.
Yep. One number difference.
One number.
Well, they were, one number difference.
And reversed.
Yep.
But I was like, whoa.
And I've been seeing 17s like crazy.
Yeah. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
What is
going on? And I wanted to sit on the other side of the patio because it was shady over there. And you were like, it's okay, I'll move the umbrella and we'll be fine here. So we almost didn't sit there, almost sat on the other side, and then we wouldn't have seen that.
Yeah.
We also saw 3 license plates that were really interesting. There was BB, like it was B.
Lee.
Yeah,
and then
Lee.
B
I have
and D.
and 3 D's, and they all have multiple E's in the middle. Don't ask me what that means. And I've been seeing 17s like crazy and have absolutely no idea why. So we're at this point thinking whatever this is that's coming, that they're telling us this change is coming, might be somewhere around the 17th, the 18th of April. So we'll see. But that is, we don't know. We don't know what these signs mean.
No.
But I know that it's cool. I know that it shows me that there is way more control over what's going on here than we actually realize.
Yeah.
This is not coincidence. This
And
happens to me all the time.
The songs that we've picked for that when we moved into this house, the songs that we were hearing from that move
Yeah.
prior to the move,
Yeah.
we sort of set as like, okay, those are our songs that we'll be inundated with when it's time for us to move again.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they're right here. They're like,
Yep.
every time I turn the radio on, we hear about these 3 songs that are referencing moving.
Funky Town twice today.
Electric Avenue,
Yeah.
Funky Town, and there was one other.
Moving On.
Yeah, Moving
Billy
On,
Joel.
Billy Joel.
And the funny thing about Moving On was that was just set as a moving song
Mm-hmm.
because now that you have the Bronco and we're in there, we have XM radio or Sirius, whatever it is now. And so the stations have changed. So we knew that they were going to kind of have to play with the songs. And so that
But they're
song,
right there.
we heard that song twice in one day. And then we had Family Guy on in the background one night.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part in it where he goes, heart attack. And they said that on Family Guy the
Yeah.
same day that we heard it twice. And I was like, that's it. It's set as a moving song.
Yeah.
So that's how we set songs sometimes too. Is when you hear it multiple times a day, there's definitely a reason. But yeah. But anyways, signs
cool.
from your higher self in
Yes.
the universe.
Sorry,
I
had
love to
go.
share those. And you know what's great too, not just about sharing those, that helps people to understand more about the signs,
Mm-hmm.
but it also helps us document what has happened because I forget. And like I could write a book about all of these things that have
know.
happened to us. So I like to document them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, very good.
Yeah.
Well, before we say goodbye to everybody, we want to share your information one more time.
Yes, so you can find me at Samantha Jones, psychicmedium.com this Wednesday at voiceamerica.com on the Empowerment channel. I will have Mystic Molly. She is a tarot reader, and I love her energy, so I'm excited to have her on the show.
So call in if you want a reading from either one of them, or a tarot card reading from
I'll
Molly,
probably let her do the readings
Right.
I think that'll be fun. You
Yeah.
know, I might even ask her for a little one for myself.
Do it.
Yeah.
That's
That'd be
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. And for you, sir.
My art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Hey,
We hope that everybody got something out of this, or your higher self got something out of this.
I sure did.
And we hope everybody has a great week.
Yeah, we do.
Until next week.
Peace and love.